Elon Musk, the richest man alive, once said a quote that completely changed my entire life for good. He said, "This world is made up of two types of people. The first types are dreamers. These are the people that dream about something and then go turn that thing into a reality. And the second types are the bystanders. Well, they just follow the dreamers. But unfortunately, 99% of people that you meet on a day-to-day basis are bystanders." My name is Lushain Mhlang. I am a self-made entrepreneur from the villages of Bushbuckridge. I started from zero and made over tens and thousands of friends across multiple businesses. And in this exact lesson, I am going to teach you the exact steps on how to change your life for good. Step 1 is you have to know your position and know your destination. You cannot know where you are going if you do not know where you are. Let me use a GPS as an example. Before you can set a destination of where you are going, you first have to set your location so it knows well how to direct you into your destination. So how does that look like when you know your position? The first thing that you have to understand is where you are. And I will use myself as an example. Before I started making tens and thousands of friends across multiple businesses, I first was a village boy coming from the villages. But I had to know my position, where I stand, before I can think about anything else. I had to come into terms with the fact that I am in a place where there's little to no opportunities. I come from a place where the life that I want is rare for people who come from the place where I am at. I had to come with the terms that in order for me to get to a place that I want, it will take me much harder and much longer in order for me to get to where I want to go, because I come from a place where the opportunities are close to zero than they are to 100%, compared to people that grow up having everything given and handed down to them by people older than them. I had to acknowledge where I come from before I can start about setting where I am going. And then, how does setting your destination look like? Well, this is a rather simple task, because you understand where you are going. You have to know precisely how does success look like for you. Are you having a business that makes tens and thousands of friends? Do you work on a day-to-day basis, or do you only work on a monthly basis? Do you have a team that handles everything, or do you handle everything yourself? Leading to the second step that will change your life completely for good. This is knowing yourself to change yourself. Bill Gates, the owner of Microsoft, once said this: "He who does not know himself, cannot steer his life around. What do I mean by this? There was a time where I had a client of mine inside of Elite Life Strategies who was working a regular 9 to 5. He wanted to start his own business, but he did not know how he could do it. After me and him hopped on a one-on-one call, he told me that, he wants to start a business, but the issue is he doesn't have time. The issue is he's always tired, he's always busy with something. There's no time for him to start a business, but it has always been one of his goals to have a successful business that runs for him and makes him money whilst he has a job. And I told him a very simple thing. I understand that you say you don't have time, but I would like to propose to you something. I want you to take a pen and paper and take a watch and set your watch for an alarm each and every hour for the next 7 days. When an hour hits after work or when you are at home, when 1 hour clocks out and the alarm rings, I want you to take that paper and write down everything that you have done on that hour. Each and every hour, you have to write exactly what you have done. And within a week, he came back to me surprised, because he realized that most of his time was spent doing things that are rather useless and things that do not add any value into his life. It's like he was running on autopilot, because everything that he was doing were just habits that he wasn't aware of them. But up until he actually sat down and wrote those habits down, he finally realized that there were some habits that he was doing that did not add any particular value or did not push his life towards the goal or the purpose of his life. And after realizing those habits, he then decided to change them. So after changing his habits, he started to build new habits that added into him reaching the goal of him running a successful business. And in today's day and age, he has made over tens and thousands of friends across 2 businesses. So what does that look like for you? Well, my friend, I propose something to you. I want you to grab a pen and paper and a watch, and every single hour for the next 7 days, when this alarm hits, you have to take a pen and paper and write down exactly what you have done in that hour. After writing it down, I want you to evaluate after the 7 days have passed by. I want you to sit down and ask yourself, out of everything that I have done in the last 7 days, which things do I consider as bad habits? What are the things that I am doing that do not add any value into my life? And those things have to go with immediate effect. Replace those hours with things that are productive, things that help you create more value and add more value into your life. The third step into changing your life for good is creating a routine. So, what is a routine? A routine is a thing or tasks that you do on a day-to-day basis to achieve a long-term goal. If you want to have a six-pack in 2 years, what can you do each and every day to make sure that when that 2 years finally comes, you have the six-pack that you've wanted? Obviously, you create a routine on a day-to-day basis. On Monday, you are doing cardio. On Tuesday, you are doing exercises, pull-ups, sit-ups. On Thursday or on Wednesday, you are changing the routine. And after creating a weekly routine, you follow that routine up until you achieve your goal. And when that 2 years finally comes, guess what? You have achieved that goal of wanting a six-pack. And that is exactly what a routine is. So how do you go about creating your own routine for yourself? This is rather simple. What you have to do is you have to sit down and understand what your goal is. Let's take, for example, you want to start a business that makes over 10K each and every month. That is your goal. You first have to understand, how are you going to make that 10,000 each and every month? Are you going to sell something that costs 1,000 rands to 10 people? Or are you going to sell something that costs 100 rands to 100 people? After deciding how you are going to make that money, let's take, for an example, you pick selling something that costs 1,000 to 10 people. What you then decide to do is find out what is it exactly that you can sell to people that costs 1,000 rands. And after finding that thing, you now have to create a routine in place in order to make sure that you hit your monthly goal. So how does that look like? You understand that in order for you to hit 10,000 rands, you have to get 10 customers. So what do? You take the total days of the month, which is 31, divide them by your goal, which is 10 customers, and that leads us to 3.1, meaning that in each and every 3 days your goal is to acquire 1 customer, meaning that you have to make sure that each and every 3 days you are talking to as many people as possible to just close 1 customer. And if you do that consistently for 31 days, guess what? You have hit your goal. That is exactly what a routine is. It simplifies everything for you, so you do not have to play a guessing game. And after creating a routine, the 4th step into changing your life completely is you have to watch out for naysayers. What are naysayers? You have to understand that on your path to becoming a new version of yourself, at first, this version of yourself, the old version of you, is someone who used to sit down and procrastinate, have no purpose in life, do nothing of sorts that adds more value into his life. And as you are on your journey to becoming the version of yourself that you have always dreamed about, the version of yourself that has purpose in life, the version of yourself that is always working towards something great, and it is on a journey to becoming great. Along the path of you reaching this goal, you have to be aware of people that will say all kinds of stuff. What are you trying so hard? Why exactly are you working so hard? You need to relax. Have more time to chill. Why are you always so serious? Why is everything leading towards you achieving that goal? Why are you so daydreaming all of the time? You'll never achieve that. People like me and you never achieve such things. You know you'll quit somewhere along the line. So why do you even stress yourself out? Just relax. Those people are the naysayers. And sadly, those people are not some strangers that you will come across. Those people, unfortunately, are in your circle. They can be your friends, they can be your family, they can be people that you are used to be close with. But you need to remember something. When a superstar or a football star is playing inside of a field, there's something rather spectacular that happens. They can play in the field and two things can occur. They can lose a game or they can win a game. But what happens is there is people on the sideline watching the football star play. When the football star loses a match, those people on the sideline are the ones that will say all kinds of negative stuff to the superstar. Are the types of people that are going to hate on him. And when that superstar wins, those exact people are the only people that will go on and cheer for him. Those are the only people that will come and praise him. You have to understand one thing. When the month ends, irregardless of whether that superstar lost a match or he won a match, he gets paid. The people on the sideline, the commenters, the people who were there to just watch the superstar and say all kinds of stuff, guess what? They get paid zero. So you have to understand that along the journey of you becoming the version of yourself, these people will hate on you, say all kinds of negative stuff. And when you finally hit your goal, guess what? Those exact people will be the people that will come to you begging you for advice, begging you to help them reach the goal that you have reached, forgetting that they were the same people that used to drag you down. And my friend, when that finally happens, a choice will only come to you. Do you help them or do you not? And that is a choice that is only up to you. But you remember one thing. It's either you are in the field playing or you are in the sidelines commenting. The fifth step into changing your life completely is understanding the difference between an outcome and failure. A lot of people do not understand the difference between an outcome and a failure. And I myself am a victim of that. You see, before I made tens and thousands of friends, I first was a village boy. And being a village boy, I had a mentor of mine at that time who was a millionaire, earning tens and thousands of friends each and every month. And that person used to teach me and mentor me on how businesses work. And I remember this particular time, me and him were sitting across a dinner table, and I explained to him how I have started businesses and those businesses have failed so far and I haven't found any success. But before I could even finish my statement, he stopped me and he said to me, "You do not understand the difference between an outcome and failure." And I said to him, "What do you mean? Because I surely told you that I've started so many businesses and these businesses failed. So what is the difference? I started it and it didn't work out. Isn't that failure?" And before he could even answer me, he just went into his pocket and he grabbed a coin. And he showed me a coin and he said to me, "You see this coin right here? This coin has heads and tails." And he asked me, "Do you agree with me?" And obviously I said yes. He said to me, "My goal out of this coin is to make sure that this coin lands on heads when I toss it up." And he said to me, "When I begin to toss this coin in the business world or in any world, this is called an input. This is what I put out." And he said, "Do you agree with me?" And I said yes. And right there and there, he just took the coin and he tossed it upwards and catched it. And before he could even reveal what the coin has landed into, he said to me, "There's two possibilities that are inside of my hand right now. This coin can either land on heads or on tails." And he said, "Do you agree with me?" And obviously I said yes. At that moment I thought this was just a stupid example or something. And right there and there, he opened his hand and he said, "You see, unfortunately that coin had landed on tails." And he looked at the coin and he looked at me and he said, "Here is the difference between an outcome and failure. You see, I have tossed this coin upwards, putting an input, and this coin landed on my hand, producing an outcome. And that outcome can either be heads or tails. The difference between failure and an outcome is after looking at what I have gotten, which is tails. And tails is not what I had initially wanted. I could close this hand, put the coin away and said, "You know what, forget about it. I no longer want the heads. I'm done," and then I could go on about my night. That is what failure is. Failure is what you decide to do after you have gotten an outcome. And the difference between someone who has a failure mindset and someone who has a success mindset is, after getting this coin, after getting this outcome, which is tails, you could understand that the reason that this coin has landed on tails instead of the head is because it can be either the way in which I tossed it, the angle, the way in which I catched it, or the way, the hardness of how I tossed it. Did I toss it too hard or did I toss it too slow? And someone who has a success mindset understands that I can change all of these one by one. Change each and every strategy up until I get to the desired outcome that I initially wanted. And right there and there, he proceeded to flip the coin, changing all sorts of strategies. He catched it upside down, catched it like this, he tossed it too hard, tossed it too slow, and finally he reached to his goal and he said to me, this is the outcome that I initially wanted. And after doing that, he just took the coin and he put it in his head and he said, now you understand the difference between an outcome and failure. Now proceed with your story. Tell me what you had initially wanted to tell me. And right there and there, that lesson opened my eyes, because I understood that so many times before I could even reach where I wanted to go, I used to quit because of an outcome that I've gotten. And after realizing that, the next business that I started, I have reached some moments where I wanted to quit, but I remember this lesson. After doing that, I changed strategies. And finally, that business finally took off and made my first 10K. And after understanding those lessons, my friend, you are literally ready to change your life for good. Let me summarize everything that we have touched on. The first thing is you have to know your position and your destination. The second step is you have to know yourself, to change yourself. The third step is you have to create a routine. And the fourth step is you have to watch out for naysayers. And finally, the fifth but not least is you have to understand the difference between an outcome and failure. And as always, I would like to leave you with these words. This world is made up of two types of people. The first types are dreamers. These are the people that dream about something and go out into the world and make that thing into a reality. And the second types are the bystanders. These are the people that, they follow the dreamers. But unfortunately, where you fall into is only a choice that can be made by you.